So I just say I'm Christopher Nelson, NAM 25. Hello, this is my classroom at SI Gopes in Amaruru. I wanted to first show you the outlook of my room. I guess I should start with the desk. I keep my desk kind of like from back home, like our Congress buildings, our Senates, and our House of Representatives. I like all of the desks to kind of be pointing at a degree where they are facing me in the classroom. So if I'm standing up here, everyone seems to be looking in this direction. I also like to keep a room with constant flow, so I can always walk towards the middle of the room. And I also keep large spaces on the outside so that I can keep walking on the outside of the room. This allows me to talk to any student who might need me during the class time. Class time is normally very short, just 40 minutes, so it's very important to be able to move around the room in a quick fashion, I guess. Part of my wall displays, I find it very important to have wall displays in a room. Namibian classrooms, if you're lucky to have a classroom like mine, still, without wall displays, kind of looks like a prison. And as I tell other teachers, if a classroom looks like a prison, your students are going to act like prisoners. But if you can make your classroom look like a home, then they'll act like it's their home, which is one of the reasons why I believe I don't really have problems in my classroom. We start right here. This is my objective board, so that when the kids come inside the classroom, they know what today's objective is, our agenda. I also have homework reminders. We go over the objective board to start class. It takes about a minute. Sometimes I have the kids write it down in their journals, but most of the time we just go over it in class to save time. I also keep this section available. You'll find that students are absent every now and then inside your classroom. This is basically for my students from grade 9 to grade 11. If they happen to miss my class, homework is over here on the board. So I'll put their English homework inside here for each class. I only give out one worksheet of homework per week, so this stays up here for the whole week. So when they come, they can at least collect their homework, and they're not asking me during class, again, saving time. And then they can turn their homework in on our turn-in day, which is Thursday. Over here is our calendar. This lets the kids know exactly what's going on during the month. I like them to know when I'm having extra classes. I like them to know schedules, changes in their school policies, whatever it is, they can come over here and they know. And it's also a place where I put homework reminders as well. Again, our homework turn-in day is Thursday, so there's always a reminder that homework is due here. And whenever we're having fun in the class, like a Friday fun day, it's announced on the board. Classroom rules, yada yada. This is part of an art project. Again, I like the kids to make, one of the most important things for me is the kids to believe that this classroom is not just mine, but also theirs. And they make the classroom feel like their own kind of home. So that when they come here, you know, a little part of the classroom is also theirs. This was a project that we were working on in classroom. Not fully finished, but it's still something that the kids find fun. I also like to keep up-to-date news articles in the classroom, which we discuss on Mondays. Which we discuss on Mondays. One thing about African countries is, from what I've learned here, you can cut all that. The learners do not have a tremendous amount of world knowledge, such as we have learned even from cartoon shows back in the US. We get a lot of world knowledge, so when we come here, these kids don't have that same world knowledge that we learn. So I like to bring in world knowledge to the classroom every Monday and having a discussion, because you wouldn't believe some of the things that the kids don't understand simply because they just never learned it like we did when we were children. This is my bright little apples. These are all the students in my classroom from this year and last year. However, it's also a symbolic message to myself. All the apples that have fallen from the tree, these are the students who I have personally failed to help. They are kids who have dropped out of school. They are kids who failed grades and have went to new schools. I like to remind myself about those students to keep myself motivated. It's kind of negative, I guess, but it works for me. So just something that I do. But the apples on the tree, those are still my kids who are here. This is my family from back home. One of the very first things I did in the classroom so that my learners can get to know me and who I am. I also like it because the pictures involve family members who are smiling and being happy. Many of our students do not have families that are like that, but they're going to be moms and dads someday. So it's nice to send a message of loving families, in my opinion. Ooh. This is when the board gets kind of weak. It's a constant project in the room, so we're taking things down all the time. This is just simply something about our book that we're reading, Lemony Snicket's and a Series of Unfortunate Events. I have a letter from the author, which we read to the kids, and there's eyeballs. It's part of the book, a little symbolic message in the book, and there's eyeballs throughout my classroom as well, part of the message. And there's eyeballs throughout the school as well. I kind of tell the kids that I'm watching them. This was an old art project that I just took down, so there'll be new art next trimester. I'm getting ready to take this one down. This is another art project that the kids worked on inside the classroom. And then I believe every teacher should have a board where they can put up student work. I took all of my kids' work down except for this one. This one's kind of a joke because this is a learner who I didn't even know went to the school until finally he showed up to my class. So this is his first assignment ever. But now he comes every single day. So he missed the whole first trimester, but apparently he was actually here to school. He just wasn't coming to my class. And then when he finally showed up, I made him feel special, and now he comes every day. This is an after-school class that I have. Again, I don't really have time during class to talk to people, so I have places where they can get their information right here so I can talk to them after school. And I guess over here is an art project that we're working on to connect our classroom with students from the UK. They sent us a piece of artwork, and now our students are working together to create a piece of artwork as well, showing bits and pieces of Namibian culture, as well as our classroom culture. We stress that education is freedom in the classroom because I try to sell the message every single day that the more educated you are, the better chances you have of doing really anything that you want to do in life. I think it's a very important message because I personally believe that culturally education is new, and therefore because it's new, there's not a true understanding of how important it is in today's capitalistic world. Other than that, I don't know where else to tell you. I like to keep my classroom clean. I sweep my own floors. I think it sends a message that, you know, Mr. Nelson's here to work, I guess. But I hope you're having a great time in Namibia, and thank you.
Okay. Okay, so can you tell us about your day-to-day and how you run your classes and stuff?
Okay. Let me see. I'm in Namibia. I'm teaching English classes, mathematics classes, and some art classes as well. Class periods are usually about 40 minutes, so I like to keep things quick. However, I guess I should say this. I'll start from here, I guess. I learned a lot from watching my sister as a parent. I don't know if I should look at the camera or you.
Me, probably.
Okay. I learned a lot from my sister as a parent. She has 4 kids, and inside, you know, when you have 4 kids inside one house, it's crazy. But these kids are well behaved, great manners, far better than I ever was. And I learned something. They have a routine. They have a schedule. You know, I was trying to figure out what makes them so different from how I was when I was a kid. I was terrible as a kid. And then I was studying basically my sister and the children, and I learned at 8 o'clock the kids had to do this. And then there was, you know, school, but the kids who stayed home, they knew at 9 o'clock this, 10 o'clock that, 11 o'clock this. And there was just this schedule. And because the kids knew the schedule, Tracy could even say like 4 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock, and the kids would know it's time to get out books and look at books. So I run my classroom on the basically same philosophy. I have a schedule. When the kids come in Monday, they know what they have to do on Monday. They know the first 5 minutes, or the first 2 minutes we go over our objective. The next 5 minutes, there's a review question on the board that they are to work on in their workbooks. That takes about 10 minutes of the time. by the time they get all the papers out and they work on it. Then we go over it for 5 minutes to make sure that everyone understood what we were teaching yesterday from our review lesson or last week. And then after that, I usually have notes on the board because they don't have books, so you have to kind of make your own book. So Monday, after we do the review lesson and talk about it, that leaves about 25 minutes left of class, and I allow them to copy down their notes, and I usually have again, like another review question for them to work on during that. So when they're done with their notes, some kids finish the notes faster than others. So at least then there's another question for them to work on. When then they're done with that, they can raise their hand and I check it during that day. So I know their notes are finished and I know their question has been answered. Tuesday they come in, again we do the objective board. But now it's, okay, here's the notes we wrote on the board, now let's talk about the notes on the board. And we go over the notes that were on the board. We have questions on the board that we can work out together that go along with the notes. And when I believe everyone has truly understood what we were supposed to be learning that day, and I believe we've gone over enough example questions or example reading passages where I believe everyone's comprehend the objective, that's when I announce the homework assignment. So Tuesday, everyone gets their homework assignment. And from there, they can begin working on their homework assignment. Wednesday, when they come in, they know that, again, we go over the objective right away. Wednesday, they come in, there is a quick bell work. I call it bell work. It means a remediation question. I give another remediation question so they know they get out their notebooks. Again, 5 minutes to work on this remediation question. That's, again, from objective to the remediation question takes about 10 minutes. Then you go over it 5 minutes. And I like doing this because it allows me to see how many kids understood yesterday's or the previous lesson. And when I learn, like, okay, everyone really understands, I know I can move on. But if I have like half the class who maybe got it wrong or was a little confused, I know, okay, this next part of the classroom, I have to go over this lesson one more time to make sure everyone knows. 9 times out of 10, everyone understands the remediation, so we move on to a different part, which is basically an open-ended question. I provide a question on current events or just a personal question, even a religious question, anything that's really going on here at the school. And again, they get to work together now with their person next to them, and they get to discuss for about 5 minutes there, and they even can write down in their notebooks an answer to this open-ended question, and we try to have a classroom discussion. These are the things that we try to do on that Wednesday. So if I'm confident that they learned Tuesday's lesson, Wednesday we have this open discussion, everyone's speaking English, and if it's a good enough question, then the classroom's really focused, and sometimes they want to continue talking about it even on Thursday. But of course, that's just for Wednesday's lesson. Thursday, again, come in, objective, it's on the board. But now Thursday is the day that they know they have to turn in their homework assignment. So homework is turned in on Thursdays, and we go over that homework in class. So it's graded, recorded, questions are answered all during that Thursday homework assignment, and everything's, by the time we get done grading everything, there's class time's over and it's time to go. Friday they come in. Friday we don't go over the objective because Friday's our reading day. We're reading a book in the classroom, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and I have the chapter printed out and we do out loud reading. Some teachers do not advocate out loud reading because of sensitive issues towards learners, but I find it here in Namibia I find it building confidence in learners, and I also find it good to just have people speaking English inside the classroom, and they really enjoy the story at the same time. So keeping a schedule to me is probably the best thing that I can do inside my classroom for classroom management, because I don't have classroom problems. I don't have discipline problems.
Do you have a discipline plan, or how do you do?
I will deal with things. I'm not a person like, if you start screaming, I want to at least say this. There's some teachers who immediately begin screaming. Let me tell you, like, if you start screaming, you've just taken minutes away from your lesson. And you've just given attention to one student while 30 other students now no longer have that attention. And if you're a kid like me, you're going to continue doing bad things to keep on getting that attention, even if it's negative, because that attention's on you. And when you leave the class, the kids make jokes. Oh, you made this teacher mad. So screaming is something I do not do. If it's minor, I walk around the room and I put my hand on the child's desk. And believe it or not, they know like that's the time to be quiet. Discipline policies, we have a detention policy here at the school that I established, working with the discipline committee. So we can write misconduct forms for the learners. And if they get 3 minor misconducts, they earn themselves a detention. If it's major, like class cutting, or they're using foul language in the classroom, they can get an automatic detention from the teacher. So I use these, I guess, methods or means.
What do they do for detention?
Detention's a 2-hour sit. It's a sitting for 2 hours. It's no homework time. It's no I'm going to read time. It's coming at 3 o'clock, staying until 5 o'clock. We have 2 supervising teachers. And it could be used for a more constructive means, and that's probably one of the downsides. However, if there's a book in their hands, these kids, they go to study anyways for 2 hours. So these kids, for 2 hours with a book is just like study to them. It's nothing new. But to sit and be quiet, have your head up and not talk and not have anything to do for 2 hours drives these kids crazy. But like I said, keeping this schedule, I can honest to God say I've never given a minor misconduct. I've never given a detention, unless it's a class cutting situation. If someone's class cutted, of course I have to give detention, but I've never had problems in my classroom.
Can you talk about any challenges that you've had in teaching here in Namibia versus in the States?
I guess there's similarities actually in the challenges. Getting kids to realize how important education is. However, here I guess it's more drastic. In the U.S., you can screw up, and still something good can come from you. I mean, I'm a living example. But here, you screw up, you cut classes, you fall behind, and the unfortunate thing is, these countries have adopted so much of our culture, the capitalistic values, that if you don't have an education, then there's just a world of problems for these learners, and all these jobs that they could get if they just had education are no longer available for them. So that, to me, is the biggest challenge, is getting them to understand the importance of education. Just the idea that education is important for their life. Because many of them still are growing in, or still living and influenced by a culture where everyone takes care of everyone else. It's a beautiful thing. You don't have this, somebody will help take care of you. You don't have shoes, somebody will get you shoes. This is probably one of the most beautiful things about being here in Namibia and being a Namibian. But at the same time, this way of life is now changing. The old culture is now, if you don't have this, well, I can't give it to you either because we don't have it. And these kids are believing that once I leave school, I'll just go back to my family's house and that house will be mine. And they're finding out that these houses are no longer theirs because of new laws and not keeping houses in certain areas, or just not having the money to pay for the house anymore because no one has a job. So then more and more families are moving into one house or being supported by one person who does have a job. Because when someone has a job, the money's not theirs. The money goes down to 15 different people within the family, 15 different school fees. So because they have this belief that everything will still be okay for them, they're actually finding themselves in really difficult situations. And you're finding more people on the streets. The dropout rates are becoming higher because hopelessness is increasing. So to me, these are the biggest battles. You're battling. And the unfortunate thing is you're battling old culture ways, and you're battling hopelessness, and amongst many other things. But just trying to get them to think education is important, extremely difficult.
Okay, good. Anything else? Any big issues you want to put on tape?
Yeah, I guess here's a big issue. I find that you find this amongst volunteer teachers here, not just Peace Corps, but all volunteer teachers here. You find two different kinds. And I know it's probably there's more, but I'm going to narrow it down to two. You find two who at the end of their experience, they realize that we are tremendously lucky individuals for growing up where we grew up. You find another group who really want to make themselves feel guilty and horrible for the wonderful things that they have. So I guess the message that I would like to put out is that we are simply just lucky. That's it. We happen to be born in a country where we have resources available to us, where people are currently employed, and an economy that is strong, an education system that is available for all, and a really good education system from back home. But this simply just makes us lucky. No different than anyone else. If you take a Namibian from when the child was born, you place them in the US, they grow up exactly the same way we do. So we're all really the same, just growing up differently. And I really find it hard when I talk to volunteers who make them feel guilty for having the things that we have. That we're simply lucky. We should be extremely thankful for being blessed with what we have. And the reason why we're here is because we want to share these blessings that we've had. And we should never make ourselves feel guilty for what we have just been lucky to receive. And we should actually truly be happy and astounded with ourselves. I guess that came out wrong. We should simply just appreciate the effort that we're doing here, because 99% you're going to fail. I got my kids back here, and like I said, the apples on the ground. These are children that I just did not help, and it pains me. But there's kids still on my tree, and I got to remember I got to help these kids. And if not, there's one kid on that tree who I'm going to help, and that's all the difference in the world.
Okay, good.
Excellent.